Hi, my name is Fred Rohan-Vargas. I'm the founder and executive producer of Mixing Up Productions. It was a pleasure to have to be invited by Keith Andrews to his show. I find it a remarkable and insightful show. The questions he asked me were really something I appreciated because I wanted to express some of the things, especially in line of disabilities that I wanted to talk about, and he allowed me to do that, and I thank him for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host Keith Andrew, and you're watching Breaking Barriers. I am your host Keith Andrew. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Vargas. Welcome to the Keith Andrew Network.
Thank you for having me, Keith.
Now the honor is all mine. So the first subject we're gonna start off with is called icebreakers. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Wow. I don't know how far back I should go. I'd say I started out as a writer, and I um, started to get into different types of writing until I found my niche, which was playwriting and theater. And I got involved in that. Actually, um, I started when I was working for the YMCA right before leaving college. Uh, they hired me to run a center, and I started this group for basically it started with girls because there were so many activities for boys that I thought that there needs to be something for girls. So I started a dance company, which started with six girls, and I danced. So when the guys saw me dance, I started getting um, males involved, and we ended up with about 50, yeah, 50 dancers I had. And we performed in Lincoln Center. We performed at Pittsburgh. Um, also, we performed at the Cami with Dizzy Gillespie, and also that was quite an experience for me, and a fulfilling experience. However, I wanted to do a little bit more, especially with the fact that I am a writer, and I wanted to explore more my writing. I got this job in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, which I was a DJ, and I would call myself a poet because at that time I started writing poetry. And that went, that was interesting because people enjoyed the little snippets I had to say while changing or playing records in between. And that was really good. And then I met John Patrick, who wrote, he lived in St. Thomas at the time, and he wrote the film screen Three Coins in the Fountain, and August, I think it's the August T, some forget, it escapes me right now. And he invited me to his place and thought that I should go into playwriting because I had a gift for that. So he encouraged me to do something with it, and I wanted to do something that reflect the Virgin Island culture. So I started to listen to the dialect and whatnot. I would then um, I would then create this my very first play called "Why the Donkey So Stubborn," and even got a school involved, having a group of kids singing a song that I wrote for it as an intro. And through that experience, I was able to really start to fall in with writing script. And then from there, I went to Philadelphia. I was a copyright editor for a while, and then I was involved in public relations. I was a public relations assistant for this bank that no longer exists. And what I'm proud of is that we started the Avenue of the Arts, uh, where we would bring in people from all over the arts on this one avenue on Broad Street in Philadelphia, and got a lot of theaters involved to do that. And that was back in the late 70s. And to this day, it exists. And I'm really happy to see that. From there, I went to NYU and I graduated with a master's in dramatic writing. And I wanted to pursue that, but also I wanted to make sure that I had some sort of security over my head, because my father he used to, because he, grew up in the Depression, always felt that there should be a safety net. So he kind of inculcated that into my head. So that's what I did. Um, by becoming a teacher, which I thought was an easy task, but it wasn't. So I taught teaching for 25 years, but at the same time, I continued being connected to the theater, both writing, both setting up or building sets. So I continued that until I retired from teaching and got into being a producer. And that's what I am basically now, is a producer, um, uh, playwright, and songwriter, because I've had quite a number of my songs. I've been given honorable mentions to the songs from Billboard to John Lennon, uh, theater awards, not theater, song awards. And right now, this, right now as we speak, I have songs that are being played in Southeast Asia in stores and um, and malls. So I'm currently working on as a producer now. I'm wearing my producer's hat. My plays have been, by the way, produced in Romania, Estonia, in Australia. So I've been pretty lucky in that. I just recently wrote a children's book called I'll hold it up here if you can see. I don't know if you can see it, you know. Well, I can't see it. But anyway, it's called The Island of Yaki and Bamboo, which was my first children's musical, or musical per se, that we did in the 13th Street Rep, about 2014, 2015. And now it's converted into a book. I want to bring that back again, because it was really successful at the time. So,
What
uh,
can you tell us about the book? And as we're talking about it, it is on the screen.
yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, I just received the International Impact Awards, uh, which was they had a big gala in Phoenix, Arizona, last week actually. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but I was given a trophy and an award for it. The book is basically about this magical island, where children could go to in the summer, mainly Caribbean children, without the supervision of adults. And what happens is this preteen pushes them off the island. He doesn't want any children at all. And the reason he doesn't want that is because he knows that once he leaves that island, he can no longer go back, because when you're a child, you have this innate quality to find the island, where nobody else could. But once he leaves it, he wouldn't be able to do that. And his reason for being the bully he was because of the fear of growing up, the fear of change, moving from one stage to another, and thinking that he'll lose his childhood and he won't have as much fun anymore. and he learns that that's not true. You know, we keep the childhood within us, and we find other ways to show that or experience that. And one way, which is uh, really popular in especially in the Caribbean, is Carnival. You know, where everybody get to dress up, you know, and make and pretend to be anything they want to be. So it's not lost. And the whole lesson too is that going through stages in life, you experience new things, and it allows you to become even more wiser if you take advantage of it and know and appreciate uh, what's uh, what's there in front of you. So, um, yeah, that was the lesson. It was basically having fun and a life lesson that the book is about, and the play and musical, it's the same thing, you know. So that's the thing. Now, as a um, producer, I've been involved with I've been involved with as both an investor and producer. I've produced some off-Broadway plays. One called the uh, what is it? Money Talks. Um, at the time at the Ken Dow Theater, it's now the ATM Theater. I also was associate producer for Flowers for Mrs. Harris about 2 years ago in London. Um, I also have been part of as an investor with let's see, company of the company tour, you know, and I'm trying to think of the other one. It escapes my mind.
Well, let me
But
ask you about the company that you mentioned. You
Mhm.
are a founder and executive producer of Script to Stage. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Script to Stage is basically, I started off by doing it in person, where what we do is for people who don't have the ability to get in contact with theaters or the support of the theater community, or don't know much. You know, they could be lawyers, doctors, they could be mail clerks, whatever, and have always wanted or have written a play but never have gotten to see it come to life. That's what we do. In other words, we would take your script, and we would first give you a dramaturg for at least 4 to 5 weeks. Once you go through that process, then you would be given a director along with a cast. And what happens is once you go through that process is basically reading the script. So at that stage, the playwright sees his or her work come to life. They if they want to take it a step further into a production, well, that's another phase which we can offer them, but they would then learn how to become a producer themselves because at that point they're self-producing. But basically, what we try to do is bring their stories to fruition to the point where see, because a play is meant to be seen, not to be read. Um, and what happened was when COVID hit, that changed the dynamics entirely, and but discovered new possibilities there too, and that was we can reach out to more people who had scripts across the country, and work with them the same way, but virtually. And that's what we did. We've had a woman from South Dakota. She had a lovely play. We did hers. We had one from Tennessee. She had a I'm sorry, it's cerebral palsy. And we worked with her, and made her play come to life. I had a dramaturg work with her for 5 weeks. So, we're trying to reach more people to take advantage of this because there's a lot of maybe closet playwrights, if you will, who would like to see their work uh, be presented or have the joy of seeing it come alive and just don't know how to do that. And we here, try to offer that service. So that's one of the things that we do.
Well, let me ask you, how has COVID impacted your company, and do you see things differently?
Well, I've learned to work with virtual reality, so to speak, in terms and this is a good example, just this show here. Um, it did impact my company. We've lost quite a bit, but it also caused us to discover new ways of reaching out or marketing some of what we want to do. And that was when script to stage, when we discovered that, it would be good to there's a market there, or there may be a market. We're still exploring that because it's still in its infancy. Um, to get people who would like to go through that process because it's more than just seeing their work come alive. It's also the process of how a play is developed from the script to the stage. Because many people don't realize that it takes time to to um, to develop a piece. And even once you develop it and get it on stage, it depends on what your goals are. It can take years, to get it up there. Now, of course, I mentioned Dear Evan Hansen took 7 years, but that's 7 years to Broadway. But they did productions in other places, and that's another thing. You want to test your work. You may not, if you're in New York, may want to test it somewhere else and see what the reaction is, and then maybe come back to the city, because as you know, New York City is a hard, or the whole tri-state area is a tough to deal with, tough audience. Uh, so we try to do that, and we hope to encourage more people to come to us for that service because we love to work with writers because in essence my company is about writers. It's to produce, develop um, a work and eventually license it, and you know, have those writers see their dreams come true. Um, but that's basically our main product is to do that. But a lot also is producing and also song placements for film. Not necessarily on a big scale. It could be a small scale. You can have a friend who's making a film and needs music. They can come to us and see if they're interested in uh, using our catalog to
Well,
do
I do
that.
want to take you up on that offer, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about AI when we come back for this commercial
Oh,
break.
sure.
We're back from a quick commercial break. Tonight, it's Friday Night SmackDown. If you're a fan of WWE, available on Netflix, Peacock, USA Network, and YouTube, definitely check out WWE SmackDown tonight, 8 p.m. on CW. And actually, that's NXT, but SmackDown will also be available on the USA Network. But CW, USA Network, definitely check out WWE where it's all available. Also tonight is Bill Maher. Airs tonight. Replays will be about 10 p.m. We'll be on Encore again. You can watch the Encore Saturday anytime you want and that's available on an HBO. But more importantly, make sure to like, subscribe to the Keith Network. We are the longest reigning streaming talk show host with a learning disability. We had so many names, but the name that stays the same, KeithAndrewNetwork. We have a brand new show called Breaking Barriers, where you get to go to YouTube, and you get to stream 1,227 episodes. That's right, 1,227 episodes, all available on YouTube and social media. So, with that being said, the next question I want to talk to you about is AI. How has AI impacted your company? And for an example, someone in my category who has a disability, who has a talk show, do you think that would be a good idea for a project, or would you be interested in working together?
In what capacity? Because AI I find AI very beneficial also, but however, as a writer, it can make me lazy because I can just I can just put what basic ideas I have and write it myself, and then go to AI to kind of, um, well, actually be an editor for me, which is there's no sin to that because you do it with editors from publishers or whomever, dramaturgs or whatever. So I don't see the uh, the negativity of that, but it can be um, in a way pernicious in the sense that you no longer is the author of your work because you have a culmination of so many other authors in a way, because that's what AI does. It takes, from other writers and phrases and whatnot. So I would be very careful with that. I don't know where we're going to go. As uh, as a society, as a culture with AI. I see some good things, but I also see some you know how can I put it, fearful things, for lack of a better word, that AI has the capabilities of doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about my whole concept of my show? Do you think that would be a good play? Do you think that would be a good film? Because you are a producer, what is your professional opinion?
Of using AI in terms of production.
No, I turn it for me to work with you and turn it
Mhm.
into like a play. Do you think my show would be something you would be interested in taking it to the stage or turn it into a film?
With the AI you talking? Oh, so your film is about AI,
No,
or your
my film is about a talk show host with a disability.
okay? Oh, that would be your play
Yes.
or film, a talk show host with a disability. Yeah, no, I have. A matter of fact, you talk about disability. I'm right now working with a playwright who has cerebral palsy, and I'm raising capital, some money, because I'm going to present his play um, in uh, um, in June, next June, called The Anxiety of Laughing, where he's a comedian, and he that's his ambition, and he has a fiance whose ambition and talent is ballet. And what happens is that it, the tables have turned where she would take care of him at times, but now he got into a car accident, and he has to, or is there to, take care of her as well. So there's that kind of you know, challenge for the both of them. However, they find a way to do it, but it's a struggle. So, I've been with this playwright for a number of years. As a matter of fact, he won the first prize in my when I was conducting an international playwriting contest for 3 years. I think he was in the second year, he was the winner of that. and I took his play, and eventually later on, I revisited and took his play, and contacted him to, let's produce this thing. He went through many rewrites though, and still going through another one. But yeah, because I want to bring attention, also to disabilities. A matter of fact, we were talking about how the audience, we had two readings, and we didn't have any disabled people. We talked about that. We're hoping for this production, which will be at the Midtown International Theater Festival, come June, no, July, and we're hoping to interest and even get support from the disability community if we can. That's what I'm working right now on. I just recently got, being a commercial company, donations would be hard to receive without the help of a fiscal sponsor. I don't know if you're familiar with fiscal sponsors. Fiscal sponsor are nonprofit organizations that are set up for not only commercial entities, but also individual artists, uh, to allow them to get donations with the offer of a tax write-off. Okay. And the artist can then make a campaign, a fundraising campaign, and offer that, and and let people know that they can receive, uh, from the donations, they can get a tax exemption. Also, they can apply for grants under the auspices of the fiscal sponsor. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've just got a fiscal sponsor, um, from Pentacle. That's one of there's many fiscal sponsors, but they're the ones that we've decided to use. And we're now getting ready to, set up a campaign to raise money so we can see this play come about. So yeah, no, I like to see, more, more plays that reflect the disabled community, especially within the artists like yourself, because I consider you an artist. Even though people may know you as just a talk show host, but yeah, no, that's something. Yeah, I'm open to
No,
entertaining and seeing.
absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show,
Uh-huh.
what made you say yes, and how do you feel now?
Um, oh, well, right now I'm enjoying myself, this conversation. I when my first reaction was, when you mentioned disability, I said to myself, yes, this is good. I was thinking, to be honest, about the play that I was producing, okay, about the whole thing of the struggle of being a person with cerebral palsy. And there's different levels of it. People don't understand that, some people maybe, or many people don't understand there's different levels of CP. And because I had the one that I had, the writer that I had for the script to stage, she was in a wheelchair, and her speech pattern was very hard to understand. Um, and then with Andrew, he's the player, Andrew Justvig. He's originally from Utah, but he works, with Disney World in Orlando, and he's basically, what does I think he's some sort of a tour guide or someone. But what's interesting is his speech is affected, but if you listen to him long enough, then you get the rhythm of what he's saying. And he He has a lovely wife, a 4-year-old son, and what I love about Andrew is he's so positive. I mean, he doesn't let anything, you know, turn him or make him depressed or put him or let anybody put him down. I mean, he's just, he just embraces life, and that's so inspiring for me, and it was inspiring for directors and actors. So he's that type of person. So so yeah, no, my first reaction, my initial reaction when you invited me was I was thinking, oh, it's about disabilities. I'd love to be on your show because I'd like to let people know about this play and also be given awareness of you know artists with disabilities. You know, the worst thing can happen, and well, that's not happening anymore too much, is when you have somebody impersonating a disabled person without giving a disabled person who has the talent, you know,
No, absolutely. We
right.
can save that for part two. But wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. This interview will be shared on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and our viewers, please like, share. Our goal is to reach 1,000 views and comments. Well, views are more important, but if you guys can leave comments, tell us if you have any questions for me, for our guests. Once we reach our goal, we will definitely do a part two. And if you know anyone who wants to be a guest on my talk show, I'm always looking for work. But with that being said, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. I hope I made a good impression on you. And until we meet again, I catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.